I became the number one salesperson at this recruiting company. And this was a $3.2 billion recruiting company. It was number one out of 3,000. I just had this tireless work ethic. I knew how to connect with people, and I knew how to sell and know how to exceed their expectations. I just basically created $1 million company in 11 months. Here's my wife. We just bought a house. I'm only 26, about to turn 27. My base salary was only $24,000, but in commissions, I made about 200 grand as a top salesperson at that time. And I said to my wife, I said, I'm interested in starting my own company, but man, I built this here. My wife, without hesitation to me, she said, Chris, since we were kids, you've always told me you wanted to be a millionaire, not a 200,000aire. That was impactful for me. When I went to start my own company, this company was not happy that their number one producer started their own firm. So they decided to sue me. We want $400,000 or shut your business down. When I looked at it, I was like, they're not suing me. They're suing my wife and my children.
All right, welcome to another edition of the Journey of Freedom podcast. And I am Dr. B. I am your host today. And I'm just, I'm over the moon excited, if that's a word and it's something you can actually say that you are, because I have Chris Johnson on today. And you may have seen Chris Johnson all over the place. Shark Tank is one of the that he has been on. But more importantly than that, when you think about where we come from and what we've been able to do and the people that we've been able to help, and especially when I think about Chris and his world and the people that he makes an impact for. You know, somebody asked me the other day, Chris, they said, what does impact mean to you? And what I said is when I walk out of my door and I interact with somebody, if I've changed their life in even a little bit of way, and I made their life a little bit better just today, might be a smile, then I've had impact. Because if I smile with somebody and that person ends up smiling with somebody else and then it changes their day around, then the world's a better place. And so some of us make bigger impacts than other of us, and some of us, but we'll never know how much impact we make if we just continue to do the things that we're supposed to do on a daily basis. If we continue to let go and let God, and God will do the impact part. It's not our job to figure out, okay, well, this is how my impact is going to impact others. And then, because then you start deciding, well, okay, well, I have to do it this way. And then if I do it this way, then they have to be, and then they don't respond to you the way that you wanted. Then you just go, oh gosh, all right. So God does the impact. You go out there and do what He's put you on this earth to do, and then you just wait and watch and let it happen. And so today I'm excited because we get to hear, as we do on all of our guests, we ask them to tell us their story. We ask them to tell us, how did you get to where you're at right now, and how is that going to, and how have you been able to move forward? Chris, I think I told you this. I took a group of men down to Alabama on a civil rights tour in January, and now I've been re-recording their stories, and because I don't know, when you go there, I think this is what I want somebody to get out of this trip. This is what I want them to see when they're at the museum, or this is what I want them to see when they're at the Pettus Bridge or wherever they're at. What I found out is the things that I thought, the things that impacted me, are totally different to the things that impacted them, because their experiences are different. Their life is different. Some of them are younger, some of them are older. But I can say it was a transformational trip, because all of them so far have come back and said, I cannot wait to go back and take somebody with me. So you go on vacations and you go do stuff, but most of the time you're not going, I can't wait to go grab somebody else and bring them here because they got to see what I saw. It is just so neat that they want to go back. So we're going to go back in January. But enough about that trip. I can't wait to talk to Chris, and I don't want to take his time. And so, Chris, go ahead and tell us your story. The floor is yours. I can't wait to hear it, and let's go.
Awesome. Well, Dr. B, thanks for having me on. This is awesome. And one of the things that you said is something that is really important for me, is that anybody that comes in my presence, I want to make sure that they leave off better. And so, I'm very particular of making sure that I can be able to see someone's impact, and everyone can do that. Is that if they enter your presence and they leave it better than they were when they started, that's impact. So I think that's awesome. Yes, my story. How did I get here? Which is absolutely um, an amazing story. I'm super grateful, super blessed. I'm living a dream, and at the same time I'm living a dream, I'm in the challenge of going to the next level. And so I'll start. Grew up here in Sacramento, California. I was fortunate to I'm married to my high school sweetheart. So we were together since I was 14 years old. I was a big time basketball player. I still love the game to this very day. And I remember my dad said to me, he said, Chris, listen, I want you to have two dreams. He said, you're going to be an NBA basketball player, but at the time you retire from basketball, you still got your life ahead of you. So I want you to have two dreams. And so I didn't know what that second dream was. It was all just I wanted to make it to the NBA. And a movie with Eddie Murphy called Boomerang was very impactful for me because here Eddie Murphy, he was a businessman, and he had a corner office. He was sharp, and he had Holly Berry. And I said, by God, I'm going to be a businessman. So that was like the seed that was dropped from me of like that was going to be my second dream. And when I was 16, I had a party where I invited, just about almost the whole school came to my 16-year-old party, and it was for free. And it started to get packed pretty quick, and so the garage filled up. And so I had the idea. I said, you know what? I'm going to start charging. And so I pulled out a $5 bill and I said, hey, if you have $5, come to the front of the line. And people started, pulling out their $5, and I was collecting the money. And I'm like, wait a minute, like this feels more exciting than basketball. And so that was my first feeling of entrepreneurship. And so then the ideas start to come. And I said, you know what? For high schoolers, they only have prom and senior ball, And I said, I'm gonna be the first to create teen dance clubs for people my age. So I rented a hall. I went to this is before influencers. Saw the basketball players, so I went to all of the major athletes in each high school, made them VIP, had them pass out my flyers, and it was $10 per person. And I had over 400 people show up. I made 4,000. I was 17 at the time. I had $4,000. I paid the DJ his $600, paid the security their 800 bucks, and I remember the hall was like only about $900 or something. So I remember going to my now wife's house with over $2,300 in cash, and this was me starting to build businesses. And so I started to do it every week. I had one in Sacramento. I had one in Stockton. Um, and then from there, I went and I built a modeling agency by the time I was 19 years old. And I had 50 talents with a modeling agency called Elegance's Modeling Agency. And I put over 50 people in the movie Training Day with Denzel Washington. And then from there, I had a basketball camp and then built more and more companies, and that was my initial start. And then from there, I built a recruiting company. Um, And I started. I don't know if you want me to stop there
Oh
for a
no,
second there of like the early age.
I'm like this right now. I'm loving this. This is good.
Okay, awesome,
Oh
awesome.
my
So
gosh.
so for each one of the businesses that I started, I would learn and I would grow in the whole bit. And so um, then I worked for, I graduated from UC Davis. I worked for a recruiting company, and I became the number one salesperson at this recruiting company. And basically, as a recruiting company, you help people find great talent. And this was a $3.2 billion recruiting company. And actually, the owner of that company owns the Baltimore Ravens. Okay, so kind of gives you the scale of that. Um, well, I became the number one producer at that recruiting company. I was number one out of 3,000. And the way that I got to number one is that I just had this tireless work ethic, and I knew how to connect with people, and I knew how to sell and know how to exceed their expectations. And I became number one. And they had a called a contest trip where they take out the top producers from the company, and we were in the Bahamas. And this was a time of celebration, but I was not in a mood for celebration. I was very introspective, even at that time. And my wife, she asked me, Chris, what's going on? What's the matter? And I said, I just basically created $1 million company in 11 months. No one knew who this big company was, and basically in 11 months, I basically created $1 million company.
Hey, it's Dr. B, and let me ask you something just here real quick. Are you tired of doing the same thing over and over and not getting the results you want? Are you serious about making some changes this year that will impact you in a huge way? Maybe you're putting out content right now and it's not turning into customers, or maybe you're uploading videos, but you're not sure why or how it's even gonna help. I've seen a lot of people that are making a whole bunch of cold calls to the wrong people, and no one's answering. No one wants to talk to you. It might just be that you're just doing what you've been doing and crossing your fingers, hoping it finally works this year. But let me tell you what, that is not a strategy, and it will continue not to work. That's why I created the podcasting challenge, and it's coming up fast. In just a few days, I'm going to walk you through the mindset, the tool set, and the skill set you need to create a powerful podcast. That's right, a podcast. You won't believe what a podcast can do. One that builds real value and creates new clients. And if you grab a VIP ticket, you'll get to join me for a daily Zoom Q&A sessions where I'll personally answer your questions and help you tailor everything to your goals. This is your moment. This is your year. Go to thepodcastingchallenge.com right now and save your seat. The link is in the show notes and the description. Thank you for watching these podcasts. Now let's get back to the conversation.
And I was considering stepping out on my own and building my own company from ground zero. And here's my wife. We just bought a house. I'm only 26 years old, 26, about to turn 27. To kind of give you the scale, my base salary was only $24,000, but in commissions, I made about 200 grand as a top salesperson at that time. And so I'm conflicted. I have built this company, built my territory up to where I could just make 200 grand in my sleep. Mm-hmm. And I got two young boys that, as far as my family, and I said to my wife, I said, I'm interested in starting my own company, but man, I've built this here. My wife, without hesitation to me, she said, Chris, since we were kids, you've always told me you wanted to be a millionaire, not a 200,000aire. And so that was impactful for me. And a month later, I launched and I started my company. And one of my mentors, he says this, I experienced it that where right after intention, there's disruption. Mm-hmm. So when I went to start my own company, This company was not happy that their number one producer started their own firm. So they decided to sue me. And, I had just, I had a small little mom and pop lawyer that just did my corporation and the whole bit. And we get this lawsuit and they're like, hey, here's a lawsuit, cease and desist and the whole nine. We're like, listen, you can have every single customer that I gave to you. I have no intention on taking any customers. I'm just starting brand new. And so you think that make it over with. Like, I'm still willing to sign anything that you want. You can have every single customer that I gave you guys. And I'm only 2 months since to start my own company. And the company said, no, we want $400,000 or shut your business down.
What?
And I'm like, are you kidding me? And there was this go in me. When I looked at it, I was like, are you? And I said, you know what? I'm going forward. I'm going to blow this company up. I'm going to build my dreams in this. And here's what I did, Dr. B. What I did is I said, there's no one in the world that is about to outwork me. No one in the world, not in my city, not in my state. There's no one in the world. And so what I would do is I would challenge myself to make 700 to 800 calls per day. No one was out calling me.
Day.
Per day.
Wow.
Per day. Because what I looked at it, I was like, they're not suing me. They're suing my wife and my children. Like, this is why I'm building this company. And so what I would do is I would just grind, and I built it. I built a company, and basically I was using the proceeds of the company to fight the lawsuit.
Wow.
And this went on, and I fought. Most people don't go. I went all the way. And the trial was over, the lawsuit was over a 3 to 4 year time span. And I won the case and I won the appeal. But what I realized is that in lawsuits, when you win, you lose, you lose, you lose. But there was something that was built into me during that time, that this fortitude, this never give up mentality, this no retreat mentality was built into me. And I end up taking that company into a multi-million-dollar company. And now it's been 19 years. And last month I celebrated 19 years in business with that company. So that company is the Johnson Group. And in building that, I also had, an idea for a product and an invention. And so many people have ideas for products and inventions. And, my grandfather said something to me that prompted me to go. He said, Chris, what's the richest land in the world? And I said, China. He said, no. I said, the US. He said, no. I said, Grandpa, I give up. What's the richest land in the world? And he said, the graveyard. Because that's where so many people died with great ideas in them that they never got out.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I said, you know what? No matter what, I'm going to get it out. I'd rather live with failure than regret. And so I had the idea as far as ramen noodles, like I always made them in the microwave, but you never get that stovetop taste. And I figured it out. And so I created the Rapid Ramen Cooker. And that's a whole story in itself. And I built this invention, and I always had the dream to go on Shark Tank. And so I built this product, the Rapid Ramen Cooker, went on Shark Tank. 3 out of the 5 sharks made offers. And I said yes to Mark Cuban But more so than saying yes on the show, the exposure put us on a rocket ship. And I built that company to being in 50,000 retail doors nationwide. I took one product, I took it to 15 different products, the Rapid Ramen Cooker, the Rapid Brownie Maker, the Popcorn Maker. I was in Walmart, Kroger, Target, CVS, Walgreens, and number one on Amazon. And eventually built that company and sold it in 2023. And so sold that company. And then just about a year ago, I built a AI company called Passive Candidate Pro that has done over 1.5 million in ARR in the last 8 months and is valued at a $10 million company. So that is a fast forward of where I was and where I started. And there was a ton of lessons all in between, a ton of celebrations, a ton of crying my eyes out. But all in all, it blessed me to where I am today. And I'm living in the dream boards that I have created, 5 to 10 years ago. And so that's a quick synopsis of my story.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that, because I think so many of us think, that it can't be done, or I'm going to try this and I'm going to, if I don't succeed right away, But how many of us are willing to make 700 to 800 phone calls in a day? How many of us are willing to go through a lawsuit that takes 3 years and still keep moving and still stay positive? One of the things I want to ask you, and I'm going to drop back because I want to get back into what you do, but one of the things you mentioned is you were able to marry your high school sweetheart. And so that means that she's been around this whole journey. There hasn't been this separation of, oh, she came and found this person who was already a millionaire. She built it with you. And then you guys had children. And so what I kind of want to know, what does it mean to be a husband and an entrepreneur at the same time? And then when you have your kids, this is a double question. What does it mean to be a dad? Because sometimes we talk about all the things that dads do, especially in our culture, and dads aren't there. And I ask, I believe everybody understands that the kids need a dad. But how much do we as dads, or we as husbands, need a wife? And how much do we need our kids? Kind of talk about that a little bit as your journey has gone through here.
Absolutely. I will say this, that God has blessed me so immensely. And starting with my wife. My wife is a gift. I've outkicked my coverage with her. She is salt of the earth. And, I would say that she is as more instrumental of the success that I have built than any partner that I've partnered with, any employee that I've ever hired. My wife is the number one reason why the success that I have right now behind God. And so that says a lot. I think it's amazing with my wife and my kids. So we have 2 boys and 2 girls. I've always wanted to provide them an incredible, blessed life. But at the same time, I wanted to provide them the tools and the know-how to be able to create a blessed life for their kids. And I'm super grateful because my kids are built. They are built. And I'll say the way that it was intentional. One of the things that I learned this from a very, very wealthy mentor. And then I deployed it with my kids. And I told them, I said, you can have anything you want. And they're like, anything? I said, anything. Anything you guys want, you can have it, as long as you earn it. And they were like, And they were like, well, how can I earn it? Like, what can I do to earn it? I was like, you can intern at my company. You can do work around the house. You just find something that adds value to your mom and I, and then we'll go ahead and pay you for it. And so my kids started to be creative of, hey, Dad, the garage needs to be done, blah, blah, blah. How much for that? $80. All right, boom. And they would do that. Hey, Dad, can I come work for you? And boom, they would do that. And you would see now every ask, every desire came with it, the desire to earn it. And what happened is my kids never wanted anything without earning it first. My son, my oldest son, he said to me, I was with my wife and I, we traveled to Japan, and it was for one of my Harvard Business School events. And I said, hey, C, I know your dream is to go to Japan. And I said, why don't you come with your mom and I, be able to enjoy it? And he said to me, he goes, Dad, no, because that's not the way I envisioned it. I envisioned earning it and going myself.
What? Oh.
Here's a 26-year-old that bypassed an all-expense trip because that's not the vision that he had to go earn it.
Wow. That is so cool.
Entitlement is such a prevalent thing, but it does not exist in my children. And here's this coming from a multi-million-dollar dad that, you think of it, I have it. Okay. Like God has been so kind. I am so blessed. But I'm gonna tell you even more of what I've done, what it has turned into. My daughter, who's now 17, at 14 years old, I went to her and I said, hey, I see that our product has gone viral on TikTok, 10 million views, and it was by accident. Like, hey, how can we do this on purpose? And she's like, Dad, we could reach out to influencers and the whole nine. So I said, why don't you come help me do, let's do this together. So she came and we built this influencer marketing company to drive Rapid Brands, my consumer products company. In a week, she was able to secure 14 influencers that equated to 2 million views on our product. By 30 days, she had over 30 influencers and generated 30 million views for our product. Sales went up 327%. By the end of the summer, she had hired both of my nieces on my side and my wife's side that were working for her. She generated 100 million views and then created this company called Major Views at 14, 15 years old. When she went back to school, our sales declined. I had to hire a team of 5 for my 15-year-old daughter to train them while she was back in high school, in middle school. Okay. I ended up selling that company. A company hired us for $100,000 consulting, where my daughter led the consulting agreement to help show them how to build an influencer marketing company. Okay. That's all with earning it. Dr. B, I'm not done.
Okay.
My youngest son, Josiah, he said, hey, Dad, he always loved telling jokes. And I said, hey, Joe, why don't you put your jokes in a joke book? And I said, I'll help you produce it. So he created the joke book. He started selling on Amazon. And KCRA, the news covered him and the whole nine. He's selling it on Amazon. He's making money. And he hears me in a meeting just like this in this room. He hears me talking to CVS about the ramen cooker and the whole nine. And he peeks in. He says, hey, Dad, can you tell him about my joke book? And I said, I never thought about your joke book being in CVS. So I'm on the meeting with her and I said, hey, you know what? My son created a joke book. It's on Amazon. And she's like, hey, can he create one for Easter? I said, absolutely. So He creates one for Easter. I give it to her. She said, perfect. We'll go ahead and put it in 7,000 CVS stores.
Whoa.
He made over more money in that one order for 4 years of college.
Paid for his own college.
Paid for his own college. Now, fortunately, he had an academic scholarship. But that is what I'm talking about as it relates to what it means to me of like passing that on to my kids. Like, I want to bless them with the skill sets, the mindset, the go get it determination to be able to do that. And that's what I've been able to do with my kids and my wife and kids. And they're my driving force of like, I want to bless generations I don't know. And I want to bless them not only just with tangible wealth that can finance their dreams. I want to bless them with the know-how, the determination, the faith in the Lord for them to be able to carry this thing on to the next, for generations to come.
And I kind of want to back up just a little bit, because when I think of personal development and you know, when we talk to a business person, or when we think of a business person that says that I work my butt off, they think that they had to not have a family in order to do that. Like, I have to work 100% of the time in order to do stuff, and I have to sacrifice my family to be able to do it. And what I'm hearing, what you're saying is, no, absolutely not. I'm going to include my kids in the process. I'm going to include them in learning about themselves and growing and that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm looking at all the books behind you, and some people put books behind them just because it shows that there's books behind them. I think you actually read all those books, and there's something that you did. But I also think your kids have been part of that process. Maybe kind of talk to us, well, you don't have to sacrifice, right?
Well, listen, I'll tell you this. I'm so fortunate that I've been a part of organizations. I'm in so many different CEO organizations, and you know, a lot of times I had guys that were amazing mentors, 20 year my senior, and I remember talking with them, and they had way more wealth than I did. But I would ask them; they would give me insights. And I could see that for many of them, their sacrifice of their family to attain the wealth was one of the biggest regrets. And so I was purposeful of never wanting to trade in that time with my family to go ahead and build the wealth. And I can tell you, there's no question that I probably would be 5 times more financially richer than I am right now if I had sacrificed my family. No question about it. No question about it. But I would have been 5 times poorer in life.
The stuff that matters. The stuff that matters.
And so I found the way to do both. I found the way to do both. And the way that I did it was be potent. I was potent. I was like, you know, like I wanted to be so potent to, you know, being in my kids' life that when I'm with my kids and I'm coaching their basketball, or I'm being a part of the things that they're interested, that I'm right there. I'm in there. I'm being potent. When my oldest is navigating things as far as life of like what he should do, I'm dropping everything to help him create a dream board of like what he wants, to help him flush out what he's going after, and then celebrating with him as he's checking things off. Where there's my baby boy that I'm coaching in basketball and I'm talking to coaches. Where it's my oldest daughter where I'm showing up at her volleyball games. Or if my youngest baby girl where it's her art projects and I'm in tune. My kids feel like I was the number one dad that was there for everything. And in my business, you could see like the scale that I was able to build. And the way that I was doing is there's times where I had to sacrifice. But the times that I spent with my kids, I made it so potent that it felt like I was there for every single thing. And I never lost my why of why I was building this in the first place. And it was to be a blessing to my family and to be a blessing to others. And so I never lost sight of that. And I think so many people, they lose sight of why they build wealth in the first place and why they build businesses in the first place. And for me, I never lost it. It was freedom of time and freedom of money. I wanted to be able to go where I want, when I want, with who I want. And those who were primarily my wife and kids, man. And I never lost sight of that. And so that was how I was able to do both.
Thank you for that, because like you said, 5 times more wealthy, but what does that mean in the end, right? Who's at their deathbed, did you think, that is like counting how much money's in the bank? Because you can't take it with you, right? But the influence you have on your children, that goes for generation to generation to generation when they get to talk about, oh my gosh. So let's talk about identity a little bit, because identity in our community seems to be one of the number one things that hold us back, that stops us from becoming who God put us on this earth to do. And we have these influence and associations, and you've talked about mentorship and the people you surrounded themselves with. But how did you were able to shape the identity that says I can do anything, that society's not going to keep me back? You know, I can imagine growing up in Sacramento that you weren't living in $10 million, communities you grew up just like everybody, the rest of us grew up, these communities, and some people made it out and some people are almost still there. What is in that culture and the things that you were part of that allowed you to move forward?
Yeah, I would say, I'm the oldest of 28 grandkids, and I'm one of 2 that went to college. And out of, if you had to vote who was the craziest, who was the most unlikely to succeed, there was no one crazier than me as a kid. And I attribute a lot of my success to my dad, who took all of that will and put it towards good. He never broke my will. He put it towards that. And growing up, I never had limitations. Like my parents didn't provide that. I don't provide that to my kids. So they may exist, but I drew no attention to it. I cannot tell you a racist encounter or anything. I never looked for that. My vision was so clear on what I was going to accomplish that nothing was in my way. God said I could have all of the desires of my heart. And those, everything's available for those that believe. And so that's what I saw. That's what I went after. So you would never, ever see me in, oh, they after us, or I never saw that. That was not my reality. That was not my consciousness. And I think so many people, they speak and they see the challenges that hold them back. And so there's going to be adversity in your journey. Like what follows intention is disruption and distraction. No question about that. But man, I never had anything that was holding me back. I never even acknowledged. I never even acknowledged my starting point because I was so focused on where I was going. Like, do you feel what I'm saying? I never even acknowledged my starting point. I've never acknowledged it because I was so focused on where I was going, man. And I think so many people praise disadvantage or praise their starting point or praise the adversity. I praise the Father.
Yes.
And so I know I can do all things through him.
That's true.
And I think the enemy wants to have you be married with the adversity so you could stop. So I don't with my kids, there has never been uttered anything as far as adversity. It is just you go get it. You give everything. Nothing stops you, and you don't stop you. And you keep God first, and you can do all things with faith and work. That has been what I've lived by. That's what I told my kids with, as far as what they do. And so there's nothing. Who can stop God? No one. Who's bad enough? No one. So why should I even acknowledge it? I see adversity. I understand that all work. All work. It's going to work on me or it's going to work for me. All things works together for the good of those who love them. So let's go. I'm not going to quit, so I might as well go faithfully.
So
I might as well go faithfully.
You might as well
And that's my.
And I love that. What I want to ask you is, when you say we put God first, what does that mean? How is that actualized in life? Because I think so many people have this different thought process of what it means to put God first.
Man, I would say, I mean, it's real simple for me. Like, number one is when I wake up, I acknowledge him. I give thanks. Like, listen, I'm very, very talented. I know I'm talented. I'm gifted. And there was a point where I didn't know what was me versus what was God. And he humbled me.
Yes.
He humbled me to show me what my talents look like without his favor and increase.
Woo.
So I'm very clear. So that's why so many people are shocked when they come to my home or they come to the accomplishments of what I say, because I walk with this humility. And people are so surprised of like, man, like you've accomplished this, and then like you're so humble. And the reason why I can be so humble is because I know who provided it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I know where the increase comes from. And so that's how I put him first, is that he provides me the blessing, but I give him the glory. Every single time. I never steal God's glory. And so I that's putting him first. That's seeking him first. And so that's and he is the center of my marriage. He's the center of our family. Like we give him the glory. We give him the praise. We're thankful for him. He gives us power to get wealth. It says that in the Bible. Like, so I would say that's how we make sure. That's how I make sure that I put him first.
I love it. Love it. There's a term that's being used a lot in our world today, the generational wealth term. And, hey, you have to provide and become this person who allows for generational wealth. And throughout the things you've talked about, you said, well, I've told my kids, you can have anything, but you have to earn it. But what is your plan? I mean, when you think about generational wealth, God tells us that we need to take care of our kids, right? What does that mean for how you live your life and the things that you're doing?
It's so important to me, man. Like it's a thing that drives me. And what that means to me, generational wealth, what it means to me is not just in knowledge that I pass down, but in wealth and resources. Like, I want to have the ability to help finance my kids' dreams. They earn it, but I want to have the ability for Chris Jr. to say, hey, Dad, I have this great idea. Here's an AI product and the whole nine. Here's my plan. Here's what I want to do. I want to make sure that he can go launch and he can go get it because he doesn't lack the investment or the resources. I got you. Let's go. He's going to go earn it, but he don't have to go go to a venture capitalist. He don't have to raise a round of funding. We got it. Right. And so my goal is for his kids to have it. And so, like, that's important to me. Like, one of the things thank you, Lord, I have my dream home. It's over 7.5 acres of land. I built an indoor basketball facility on it. It was always our dream. It has a pool. It has what we call Johnson Park. I share that not as a flex. Okay. It took me so much pain, tears, struggle, and God's blessed me. Well, Dr. B, that's paid off. There's never a mortgage on that property ever again. I did that intentionally, of generational wealth, that it's big enough, and they don't want to, make it a compound. They want to do their own thing, but they have this asset for generations to come, right? And so generational wealth's important to me, is that I want to pass down the mindset and the freedom and the financial freedom for my kids. And here's the thing, I want them to do it even better. That seed that I put into Chris's business, to Josiah's business, to Chloe's business, to Jada's business, I want it to blow up even more than mine. And then I want them to do the same thing for their kids and their kids' kids. And guess what? This playbook has been done before. Mm-hmm. Right? It has been done before. So why not us?
Yes.
Why not us? Do you hear what I'm saying? Why not us? Like, that's something that's very important to me. And so it's a huge goal. Like, if you look at my dream board right now, there's a big part that says generational wealth. And at the top of it says give God the glory. And it's a picture of my family. And I look at it every single day. I'm very clear of where I'm going, and that's a big part of where I'm going.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you about the dream board and the importance of the dream board and the type of things that you put on the dream board. I can remember back to the Amway days, and back when I was younger and trying to get into business and stuff and doing multi-level, and they put me in this world of dream boards. And I can remember doing beginning of the year and having my team come out and putting boards together. And those were the days we had magazines and stuff, and we could cut them out and spend the whole day crafting it. But kind of the power that dream boards have had for you as you've been able to move forward, and why it's been so powerful.
Oh my gosh, it's instrumental. I've been for the last 20 years, without fail, between Christmas and New Year's, I set my intention on where I'm going and what I'm going to accomplish. And I don't just put things on there. I'm very intentional. So many people don't. I tell a lot of people, have a personal retreat with yourself of knowing what you want out of this one life that you have on earth. So many people drift through life, and they're not intentional of actually just doing the first part of deciding, like, what do I want? Mm-hmm. So I'm super clear on what I want and what I'm going after. And so I've been doing that for years. And it's amazing when you see my dream board of 2012 or my dream board of 2018. It's prophetic that everything that I had in that board, I'm living right now. And so many times we forget the miracles of what God did before.
Yeah.
But if you look back, most people right now, even in the adversity that you have right now, you are living a life that you prayed and cried for. Mm-hmm. And I realized that, like, man, this is what I dreamed of. This is where I was. But what happens is that and we're built with this appetite for more. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But there's an ability to be content and ambitious at the same time.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Right. Yeah. And so that's what I found myself in now. Like my dream board now is so cold-blooded. It is so amazing. It is. Oh my gosh. It gives me so much energy. And I'm gonna tell you what it does. And I encourage this for your viewers. It's the best 6 years of my life. And basically what it is, it's a recall. It's the images of the best thing that has happened in the past 3 years. So that's all on the left side. And it's very clear of like the last 3 years of the things that were such blessings. Every single person can identify what has happened in the past 3 years that were amazing. And then I look at the next 3 years of what you're going after. And what happens is that you are in the middle of the best things that has ever happened and the best things that are to come. Mm-hmm. And when you think on these things, how can you not have joy and gratitude? When you think on these things, do you understand what I'm saying? I'm thanking God for the things that have happened. And I'm thanking God for the things that are to come. And I'm trusting and I'm thanking him for both. And I'm thinking on these things. And so when the adversity, the things that the enemy wants to lure you to, the failure, the challenges and all that stuff, I set my mind to think on these things, the biggest blessings and the biggest breakthroughs that are on the way. And so when my mind is at that level, the affliction, no matter how hard it screams, no matter how hard the sight tries to come, it cannot touch it because my mindset is set. Ooh. And so that is the way that I utilize my dream boards now.
Man, oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah, because I think a lot of folks, their dream board, like you said, a personal retreat of what you want out of this one life that you have. And I think so many people's dream boards are what they see others' life as being. You know, when you see TV or you see these professional athletes or whatever that are spending you're living their dream life through you, or you're living, they're enjoying this great life and you're trying to live through them. If I could just put their name on my back, then I can have a part of their life, instead of, wait a minute, let me sit down and really put together what I want out of this life. And then
there's no question. It's so important, because so many times when we're on this, we're just watching the reels of other people's dream life, and you never even get in tune to your own. And so that is, you're spot on. And it's one of the things that I told my kids, because, even as much as someone that's not a hater, but if you're only watching the reels and the success of other people's great life and you never go in tune to your own, that's where depression and comparison and all those things seep in. But if you are fully consumed with the best parts of your life, the best things that happen in your life, and you're consumed of the expectation of what's about to happen next, it provides this perpetual joy and gratitude that just puts you on a whole nother level.
Chris, how do you stay healthy? What is it you do to make sure that you get to be around for the next however long it is, however much God wants us on? And because I think so many of us, we get into these habits, especially in the culture where there's all this food and there's all this stuff that is not good for our bodies. And the average black man lives to 72, which is just I'm thinking that's yes, no. My dad's 86 and he's running track meets and he's kind of figured it out. But what is it that you do to make sure, other than all this dreaming? I mean, I think that's part of it.
Yeah. No, 100%. Dreaming and execution. I need to add on to that because you got to go ahead and do the activity.
Yeah, you
faith without working.
On the board. All day.
No, 100%. Like, no, you got to be active. You got to do the work. God's going to do his part. You got to do yours. So 100%. You got to wake up and actually go execute that thing too. As it relates to health, that has been important to me over the last couple years. Before, it wasn't as important. I just wanted to be rich and wealthy and built, and I didn't my health was a back burner. And being around very successful people, I saw how much priority they took in their health, and I saw some people that was taken away from them as well. So I got really intentional, and I invested in my health. Invested in a fitness coach, a nutrition coach. So I lost over 30 pounds over in the last year. So I'm really blessed about that. So it's very, very simple for me. 1,600 calories a day, 12,000 steps, 150 grams of protein, and then hitting the weights, 2 or 3 times a week. But that formula has taken the weight off of me. And when I'm not disciplined in that with the weight comes back on. So I've decided, like, Lord, you do not have to give me a health scare for me to get this right. And so that's the formula. And so that's very, very important to me, making sure that I'm healthy.
Well, thank you for making that simple, because I think folks think, well, in order for me to be healthy, I have to have, all these things and all this money. No, it's simple. It's just you monitoring what's going in your body and then making sure you do something, engage in the activity around it, right?
That's it. Like it is. It's really that simple. Like you do 15 to 1,600 calories. That's your daily intake, and like you do my Fitness Pal. Don't worry about the end, just how much you're taking in, and invest in a little scale, like, grams over guesses, measure by the gram, and get your 12,000 steps a day.
Yeah.
Okay. And 150 grams of protein, you're winning. Yeah. You're winning, and you'll watch it just drop up off you. So that has been a blessing for me.
Well, and then I think the other important part is what we talked about before is that mental health portion of it, that part of where we go, okay, our mind has to be in tune to God and to what's going on. And when you're living with expectation, oh my gosh, that changes our health altogether. Instead of that depression that you were talking about before, instead of that, I'm expecting it not to work, that will weigh on you and kill you and take away your life so fast. If you don't have a dream board to even look at to begin the process of execution of it, then you're existing.
Listen, I'll tell you this, is that so many people roll out of bed on neutral. Okay. And I don't go on neutral. There's way too many things going on, the emails, the site that you're going to see that will change your mood into you being a negative nightmare. Yep. And so what I do is I'm very, very intentional of making sure that I start my day, and you call it mental health. I start my day to just making sure, number one, I'm seeking God first. I write in my blessing list. So many CEOs, I got a $100 million CEO. He stopped me of like, no, can you show me this blessing list? And I've been writing down in my blessing list since 2012. And so right now I have, let me tell you, I can tell you exactly how many blessings I have in my blessings list this year. 1,733 blessings I have written down this year. That's up from, let me tell you how many I had from in the previous year. That is up from 1,283 in 2022, 802.
500.
Oh yeah, so I'm serious about this, and so I don't mess around. Yeah. So here it is. 1,134 in 2024, 802 in 2023, 1,283 in 2022, 2021, 888. Okay, and 1,733 this year. And so I'm writing down man, it was such a blessing last night, taking the whole family to the movies and dinner and ice cream with the family, and my older boys got to come too. Lord, thank you for my family, that we still enjoy each other. Then I wrote down the blessing. Lord, thank you that I have a pool. My girls went night swimming, and my wife and I were by the fire, just enjoying them and watching them play in the pool. Lord, thank you. So I write these things down. And I'm writing them down, and I'm starting my morning of giving thanks, of thankful for all the things that I have. Because here's the truth that I realize is that if you just take an audit of the inventory of the blessings in your life right now, you would not trade them for what's missing.
Ooh, oh my gosh, that's so good. Well, and the one thing that I just got out of this, right, that you just told me, is you write down your blessings every day, but there's 365 days in a year. And if I do the math, you're not talking about one blessing a day. You're talking about several blessings every single day that you're writing down.
Oh my God. Well, let's look. Just today, I wrote down, let's see, 1730. I wrote down 15 blessings today.
So how can you not be excited about life?
Come on, man. Come on, man. And the opposite.
Yes.
How can you not hate life when you're watching the news, the bad news, and you're watching all of this poison that comes into your ear gates and your eye gates? And how can you not be down? How can you not be depressed? How can you not, when all you are looking at is lack? So why not set it up to, I'll tell you, I tell a lot of people this. They're right now in my life right now in my life is not just roses and peaches and wonderful. Right now, I got enough blessings in my life for people to say, man, if my life could only be like that, they would love to have what I'm in my life. And at the same time, exact same time right now, I have enough in my life that if I were to jump off a bridge, you would say, I get it. So think about that. Think about that dichotomy. Mm-hmm. There's no time in your life that you're going to have blessings only. And there's no time in your life where you're only going to have burdens. Mm-hmm. So every part, you're not going to success this. I've tried. At every stage of your life, you're going to have blessings and burdens. So the quality of your life only comes down to what you pay attention the most.
Woo! That is so good. That is so
That's
good.
The quality of your life. The quality of your joy is what you pay attention to the most. So start auditing that as far as the people around you. You can tell what they pay attention to the most.
Oh, you've
seen someone where they come and they just suck the energy out the room. they're paying attention to the burdens the most. You've seen the people that, oh my gosh, just being in their presence, they give you energy. You can tell what they're paying attention to the most. The quality of your life is what you pay attention to the most. And most people don't know this, is that you have so much in your life right now. Anybody that's listening to this show right now, you have enough in your life right now that 1 million people would stand in line to live your life just one day. 1 million.
Absolutely, they would. Yes. Ooh.
Because they'd be so happy of all the blessings that you're ignoring.
Yep.
And they would pay attention to them too much, so much that the burdens would not even, they would not even comprehend, because their burdens are 10 times worse than yours.
Oh my gosh.
And what you see as burdens, they see as little specks.
Mm-hmm.
And what you ignoring as far as blessings is their Super Bowl.
Wow. Oh my. Oh, and I was just thinking that as you were saying that, what if couples were to get together and do this daily and talk about how would marriages be revolutionized if they just listed their blessings as a family, oh my gosh, what an amazing way to live life. I love it, love it, love it. Man, I can't believe it. We've been talking this long, and this is so good. I want to keep going, but what didn't we talk about that you want to make sure that our audience gets to hear, that we get to put out there? It has been so rich. If you've been watching this, I hope you rewind and watch it again. I know I am. I'm going to watch it like 8 or 9 times. This has been so good. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I would say the last thing I would leave your viewers with, and, I want to make sure you know that you're enough. So many people think that they have to get this together. I have to have this. You're enough. It's even in my start, I had $12 in the bank account, but when I started my first business, in that I've lost it. I've had success. I've had adversity. And I just want to tell you, you'll win if you don't quit. You'll win if you don't quit. And so many people think because they've been scrolling and watching all of these highlights of other people, that what's happening is they never see the low lights. They never see the low lights. Like, people don't share the low lights. And I want to tell you that every person that you see has a low light. And so don't let that stop you from going. Yeah. You're enough. Go ahead and get it. And that's one of the things that I want to leave you with that.
Wow. Yeah, somebody told me not too long ago, they said, enough is not an amount. It's a relationship with where you're at right now. And you are enough. It is not an amount. If you're trying to hit an amount, you'll never hit it. Because it'll never be enough. But it's not enough. Oh my God. Thank you for sharing that. Like I said, rewatch this. If this is the first episode, you want to go ahead and subscribe, because there are so many more just like this. Chris, it has been an honor. It has been a pleasure. I can't wait to have more conversations with you. I can't wait. Oh my gosh. The relationship that I'm just going to force myself onto you with me, just because there's so many good things that you have going in your life. And I just appreciate you so much, and just your willingness to come on. And as busy as we know, a lot of folks that, here's what I tell you, busy people get stuff done are also the people who have time to do stuff. Because they know the importance of time. And it's so amazing that you would spend that time with us today. And so for those of you watching, I want you to make sure that you know that you are God's greatest gift. He loves you if you allow him to. So please allow him to do it. I can't wait to spend more time with you guys online. And I just can't wait to all the things that are going to be in your world and the blessings that are there. Go ahead and make yourself a dream board. Go ahead, if you don't have one right now, make sure that you're doing that. And we will absolutely look forward to talking to you. Chris, do you have just give us one last nugget, because I know they're just so incredibly good. So I can't wait to hear it. So give us one more.
I'll give this last one. And this is one of my favorite verses, is that no mind has imagined, no eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind has imagined what God has in store for those who love him. And so what I can tell you is that on the other side of you going, it is greater. It is so worth it. It's going to bless you and everybody in proximity to you for you to go. So I just want to just share that with you. Like it's not what you think. It's greater than what you think. So go out, go make it happen, go get it.
I love it. Love it. Thank you again. You guys have an amazing day. We'll talk to you on the next one.